What's up, everybody? Andrew from the F1 Podcast here, bringing you season 5, episode 19 of the F1 Podcast. I am joined by John. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I mean, it was a hot one in Toronto today. I biked to Trinity Commons,
Oh,
and also the bar was packed at 9 a.m., so it was great. I mean, I'm pretty sure that those that were in the stands today probably would want to have had the Toronto weather compared to the rain that they all got today. So,
I heard they were at a beer by like 3 p.m.
why am I not
You
shocked?
lose.
But yes, we are talking about the Belgian Grand Prix, and unlike Jos Verstappen, we have a lot to talk about today.
Do a barrel
Well, let's
roll.
set the table, right? It's the
Yeah.
first weekend of Laurent Mekies coming in, being at the team principal at Red Bull. We had a lot of questions. There was OBF or some German media group said that Verstappen did not have a contract with Mercedes, and Russell was in, but then later on the week, it's people are saying no, that's not true. Like Max could still be a seat with Mercedes, and that the exit clause does not kick in until after Hungary for either next year or this year. So, nevertheless, this is kind of a couple pivotal races for George Russell, for Max Verstappen, and yeah. So I don't like going into the weekend. You're kind of thinking like, okay, does George make a mark here and solidify his seat at Mercedes? Does Max, you know, not have a great weekend considering that there's been a lot of turmoil in the team the past couple of weeks? How Laurent Meki's going to do? So, a lot of questions going in to this weekend.
Yeah, and it was a lot of make it or break it for not just those core drivers, but a lot of other drivers that were co slowly coming up to, um, we're slowly coming up to the summer break. I totally forgot that we had the Hungarian Grand Prix after this. I thought the Belgian Grand Prix was the last one, so my
Well,
bad. I
usually it
guess
is. Or actually, no, Hungary's, but it's like we're kind of at that part of the year where it's like it's a dog days of summer,
everyone
man.
just wants to get to the summer break,
Yeah,
and it was kind of an
seriously.
awkward phase from I think it was Silverstone to this race that it was a
Yeah.
longer gap than usual because obviously for travel purposes, but still, yeah. So yeah, you had a competing stories. I just want to make note of this. Eric Van Haren from the Telegraph came out just earlier this week, not earlier today, that it's confirmed that Max Verstappen will be staying at Red Bull Racing for 2026. So I don't know if you saw
Don't
the
know if that's the best decision.
so I
I
don't even
don't
know.
know if that's the best decision.
You
So I
lose.
saw that Jos Verstappen got asked a question on the track, I think by Martin Brundle and Nico Rosberg. It says, "Oh, Christian Horner's out. Like, are you happy with this? What's going?" And he says, "Quote: I am fine as long as it works." And to be fair, just wait before you respond. He won the race on Saturday, pretty decisively, despite holding off both the McLarens, and we thought could this be the rise? And then he had a not so great qualification on Saturday afternoon. But yeah, go ahead. So I think you
I
want some
say like
comments
in
on that.
that also in that interview, Nico Rosberg, I mean, pundit of the year candidate in my opinion, basically asked Yost like what his thoughts are on the move that Horner is not there anymore, and he goes like, I choose not to get involved or I choose not to speak about it. And Nico replies back, oh, so now you have nothing to say about the move. I'm like, yes, Nico. It's like behind the scenes, Yost was just eager to get Christian out. You know that's the case. And now that he's out, he's like, oh, I cannot speak. If I speak, I get in trouble.
What's the thing is if I speak, I get fined, or I'm just here so I don't get fined. What is
Yeah,
the
pretty
Marshawn
much.
Lynch?
I mean,
Marshawn Lynch?
I just love how Nico put Yost in his place this weekend. It was great. Set the tone for a fun race weekend. But yeah, sprint race. Max starting in P2 with Oscar in P1. And oh my God, what a move down the Camel Straight to get into P1 there.
Just before we get into that sprint qualification, Oscar Piastri blew the field away with a stunning effort to take sprint pole position by 0.477 from Max Verstappen in Belgium. If you look at the graph, oh no, that's the qualifying gaps. Okay, we'll get to that. But literally almost half a second
Yeah.
better than, than Verstappen.
Oh, Piastri was hooked up all weekend. That's why I was like to see the max move on Piastri at on lap one of the sprint was incredible. And you're thinking, oh, okay, well, Oscar's going to get him back at some point, considering that McLaren's a rocket ship. I know Red Bull brought upgrades this weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't know how they were going to perform until the sprint race. But man, Max literally hit 14 qualifying laps in a row. to be able to stay ahead of Oscar. And to be honest with you, in this version of the Red Bull, that is the only way he's ever going to win races. If he hits like 40, he had hit 44 consecutive qualifying laps at Belgium today, just to even have a chance to win the Grand Prix. That didn't happen, nevertheless. But back to the sprint, I mean, my God, what a move. And just be able to like consistently bang those out. Super impressive.
Yeah, and like we also had, Charles Leclerc was also passing Lando Norris. Lando quickly regained third. His championship leading teammate remained stuck to the Red Bull gearbox. And it was just like, Leclerc, Esteban Ocon, I think Carlos Sainz, Oliver Bearman, Isaac Hadjar completed the points paying positions. But nevertheless, like, it was a fun sprint. Yeah, 14 laps, like totally it literally just goes like that. And I don't know if you noticed this, but F1 came out, speaking about sprints, Canada's going to be a sprint next year.
Canada's like for the first time ever, which is pretty sweet. And then Silverstone's going to get a sprint. I wonder what happened the last time that was the case.
I was just going to say, are we going to have to be racing potentially in snow tires? You never
Oh
know
my
with the
God, that
weather
would
in
gotta have
Montreal.
you got chains on the tires so they can go around the ice track at Circuit de Villeneuve, Gilles Villeneuve at that point.
So yeah, and so we kind of saw, we thought, okay, is this gonna, the success of probably Max Verstappen with that race week, oh, not that race, but the sprint race, how is that going to play into qualifying later that afternoon? And I don't know if you saw the stat, you had, both the Red Bulls, it's too bad that Yuki Tsunoda did not have a great race on Sunday because like he looked promising in qualifying, and I don't know if you saw the stat with all four technically Red Bull cars.
Hmm.
Um, the last time they all four of them have made it to Q3 at the same time, Singapore 2022.
Wow.
So also I forgot to mention, Hamilton had a dismal qualification, qualifying in, for the sprint and also, qualifying going into the race on Sunday. We'll get to his race for Sunday. But yeah,
Yeah.
so you had some competing stories. So, Norris led, with 140.562. Piastri was 0.085 behind. Then you had, I think it was
Luis
Leclerc.
Charles and then Verstappen was
Yeah.
like the one, two, three, four. And then Alex Albon finishing, qualifying P5. But I don't know who the hell the race or the TV director was this weekend because we had zero footage of that.
So both Leclerc and Verstappen were about 0.0338, 0.0341 back. So leading into Sunday's race, and so I think Sunday was very interesting. So you had Lando leading with Piastri 2, um, and also I should note that Friday and Saturday had beautiful weather, and then Sunday you had the
Typical rainy weekend
yeah.
weather. It was fantastic.
And judging how a track like Spa is, anything could happen in terms of when the wets. So I got to Trinity Common at 9:07, so I was like
Well, you didn't
anticipating.
miss a single minute of action
So I
because we
walked,
didn't start until like 10 o'clock, the
yeah.
race.
So I walked in and I saw Dave, and Dave's like, "It's a rain delay," and I was like, "Perfect, good," because I was late. But
Speaking of
yeah,
the Jays hat that you have on, I was going to joke that with the rain delay, like, did they tarp off the entire track like they do with the infield in baseball? Imagine the tarping crew that would be required to tarp the entire track off
oh my
for a rain
gosh.
delay.
The thing is, if you get volunteers to do that, like people would do it. They'd be
Like
running
how
from their
many
seat.
miles, like how much tarp you would need? It would be just the square mileage would be insane.
Not only that, just trying to think, like I saw a joke online. It was like something how, on the tracks that a lot of the tractors are going to kind of like, I don't know if they're just clearing the water off, and it's just like, is it that or is it the Ferrari tractor like on the track? So
They weren't that slow. They were quick
so
today though,
so
man. I tell you that
well,
much.
yeah, I think
You wanted a tractor. You should have looked at Aston Martin's garage.
yeah, that is fair. And so going into Sunday's race, let's see what was going to happen. Like, how was Lando going to hold off his teammate Oscar? And within 30 seconds, it was gone.
Did you
Within
not
the
see Piastri like right up his rear end going up Pouon or yeah, or Radion El Rouge and just literally, I was like, oh, how can you follow him that close up the hill? And then by the time he got to the Camel Straight, it was like it was done. It was over. Like the
But you
race was
got,
finished at that point.
I think Tim Hernany was making a good point. Just like the amount of not pressure I'm looking for, the amount
No,
of
drive, but just driver errors from Lando was incredible this weekend. I mean, he looked uncomfortable lap one, kind of carrying around. He almost had a moment on in Puan where he like almost been the car, and then he got front. I think it was front left graining going into a couple of
yeah
tires trying to push on
those
those
inter
hards.
tires like
Yeah, it was.
when they boxed, I didn't realize how degraded they were.
Oh,
It was
because we didn't start the race for an hour, so like the track, like the degradation, like the track was pretty much dry. So it was just a matter of taking the inners up for a dry train, and then boom, the dry race began.
I should have said, I think the word I was looking for is the confidence, Oscar that clearly has in himself is, he was not on, they've not ridden the inters all weekend. And then to do that on the first lap on a track that's completely wet and then just absolutely
I'm
just
like,
send
absolute
it.
psycho. I loved it. I'm like, holy smokes.
Yeah. So heavy rain, we had, delayed the race by almost 80 minutes. We saw that. And like, honestly, while it might have been a boring race for maybe McLaren, like it got a little close because while I think this if there's a brand story from this weekend, I would say that this would have been Lando Norris's race win, but human errors did it. And you had the lap one incident, and then you had later on the race that he was clearly the faster driver, but coming into the final lap, he absolutely locked up on I think it was turn one or turn two.
And should Oscar Piastri win the World Drivers' Championship this year, we will do our like recap race, a recap podcast, and we will have these types of comments made about Lando's season, how a lot of his errors cost him big points and cost him points in the championship that led to, as much as Oscar has been such a consistent driver, like these mistakes by Lando have frequently happened throughout the season.
And while like it's probably not so much in the constructors, I think we can safely say they have a
That's over.
very comfortable lead in the constructors. Mindful that like anything can happen, and we've seen second season rushes. But yeah, I mean at 516 versus 248, like you're pretty safe. But yeah,
I think like McLaren would have to like,
DNF like
or
four
no, they'd
straight
have to
races.
ship the cars off to the wrong track. And I think they'd still have a chance of winning the World Constructors Championship if they shipped the cars off to the wrong track for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so Piastri pitted on lap 12 for the medium tires, with Norris forced him to complete another lap, and then after making his own stop, following to it. So he decided to go in the hards, which I kind of was confused. Okay, so you put Piastri on the medium, then you put Lando on the hards.
Because I think at the time he felt that the hard was going to get to the end. The medium was a big question. The medium was like, could they take that medium 30 laps or 32 laps to the end? Oscar was able to do that, and like that's why he got kind of close towards the end of the race because he was saving he was feeling the degradation. He was trying to save his tire for when he needed it at the end. And again, Lando was pushing on those hards, which led to mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think like this was a classic, or this was just a very classy drive from Oscar Piastri, like world championship caliber, in my opinion, with that move in turn one, and then being able to make those tires sing for 32 laps. Fantastic. Fantastic, in my opinion.
Yeah, this was McLaren's first win in Belgium since 2012 with Jenson, I think it was Jenson Button's victory, who won the race in their first two finish at the circuit since 99. This was also McLaren's sixth 1-2 of the season, making it the most they've achieved in one season since Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost achieved 10 in 1988.
I
I
think
sh
they'll be able to achieve 10 this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They might break that. They may get 11 or 12.
Yeah. You also had a couple of DRS trains that were kind of, forming throughout the weekend, not the weekend, but throughout the race
Mhm.
that kind of made kind of passing impossible. Um, but I think we need to talk about the driver of the day and Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Oh,
He knows how to race a car in the wets, mindful that he had a very bad qualification. I think it was before the race he qualified. Yeah, he started from the pit lane. So to
yeah.
go from the pit lane and then he put on the tires. I forget which lap that he put on the tires,
I think
but
he was the first one to take it in
he was the
12.
first. Yeah, he was the first one to take it, and he immediately went from Well, he gained like three or four positions already to start the race. Then he pitted, and I think he came out to P7. And then he was basically he couldn't catch up to Alex Albon, but like there were moments where could have been in a fight. And I don't know, like the F1 TV, the app. If you ever use the app, it's really cool. It's got some good like metrics of seeing of like how
Hmm.
fast the lap, where they're faster in the lane. So we were able to kind of follow and like for the pretty much the first half of this track of Spa, you had Lewis was the better car, and then like the end of the half was Alex Albon. But yeah, some really good fights there, and just Alex Albon held him off. But like to go from pit lane to basically P7, like that is pretty remarkable, and especially the conditions that he had to race through.
I thought Lewis had the drive of the day, and it's just nice to see him have that in Ferrari, in my
Hmm.
opinion. I know he had a tough qualifying, but able not, we had like guys like Antonelli had a tough qualifying, Sainz had a tough qualifying, and those guys just kept in the back of the pack. They really couldn't make any noise, especially Antonelli when your teammate finishes P5, right? You should be able to have a fast car at that point. He finished well down in the blue, I think P16.
Yeah,
But
I should also say yes, it was lap 11 where he came in and he was in the 13th position from starting from 18th to go to 13th, and then he was the first person to pit for drier tires. And so that yeah, clearly
Yeah, and he was
when
making some sick moves, like into the bus stop chicane on Science. Oh, like just unbelievable, right? And those types of the moves are reason why he's like a seven-time world champion, right? In that case, but the strategy call to come into a lap early for
I was
those.
nervous. I was
Oh,
nervous.
for sure. But I mean, like if I trust Hamilton's judgment in that case because he knows like when the track is dry and when he's confident he's be able to take those slicks. And if there is a wet patch, he'll be able to drive through that no problem. I think based on what Oscar was saying that the track was pretty relatively dry, that the only wet part was on the straight, on the Kemmel straight, and that was going into turn five. And it's like I'm sure they could deal with, that at that point on slicks. So Hamilton makes a call early. Jets gains a few points, or sorry, places. Overtook Lawson, and it was like Lawson was veering over, and Hamilton was just like, and bye bye, see you later, buddy. So, finishing P7, it was great for Lewis, and just some good quality points after a bad qualification.
Exactly. And I think for his teammate, he should be happy, like Charles Leclerc, getting P3, another podium for the team, more points in the constructors, and just, keeping
Shout
it
out to
competitive.
Charles for fending off Max too, because there was a couple times during the race where Max was right up on the side, and Charles played great defense against Max in that sense.
It was really interesting to hear kind of the radios throughout the race of obviously giving the times, and then at one point he's just said, "Leave me alone, let me just do my thing."
Well, because he was getting no updates, and then all of a sudden he has like a little bit of an like not accident, but a little bit of a mistake where he locked the front up, lost about 8/10, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh yeah, Verstappen 1.2 behind." He's like, "What the hell? Like, why are you not talking to me about this beginning?"
Yeah. I guess let's go through the top 10. So yeah, Oscar Piastri won, Lando Norris two. Yeah, so like to talk about the hard tires, there was a moment where Lando was picking up time and then he just literally lost it on the last couple of laps there. Charles, three, Max Verstappen four, George Russell five, Alex Albon six, Lewis Hamilton seven, Liam Lawson, good race for him. While he was not going to catch Lewis Hamilton towards the end. He was still 12 seconds behind, but he should be having. Gabriel Bortorello, the Saubers getting much needed points. Nine. Pierre Gasly, very emotional weekend with him,
And
with Anton Hubert. His mom was there this weekend, as well as a guest in the Alpine garage. Um,
They he on Thursday there he organized a run for Antoine too, which was really great to see and all the support there. And I loved how he was wearing Antoine's hat throughout the entire weekend
oh, I
too.
didn't
Because
realize that. Okay,
yeah, because it was it's a very emotional place, right? And I mean, this was the weekend, right, where
make or break.
pretty much Russell could have forced Verstappen's hand on the exit clause, but he clearly didn't. In that case, he was abysmal in the sprint race. He finished behind him in the actual race. And so I believe Max is at a point where I don't think Russell can catch him for P3, therefore his exit clause is not triggered. And maybe that was by design on Russell's part. Who knows, right? Guarantee a seat for next year at Mercedes. Shows a little gamemanship there in that case to sacrifice the points this weekend so that you get the contract later on anyways.
Yeah. Max is sitting at 185, George is sitting at 157, and then Charles is sitting at
Yeah,
139.
like 28 points. He's not catching them. There's no way.
Yeah. Also, other thing that we did, as talked about, at Trinity Common and at this weekend, I posted a really good reel of the sights and sounds of the Honda Indy here in Toronto. One of the requests I kind of asked people, I said, do we want to cover more Indy content? And overwhelmingly, we got yes. So,
Perfect.
while I didn't watch the race, they were in Laguna Seca in California. Alex Palou continuing his dominant season, winning this weekend's race.
Yeah, I got a little bit of the highlights. Pillow just, I mean, he finished, I think, ahead of Lundgaard by like 3 seconds. It was towards the end,
Mhm.
but Pato Award finishing P4. So from what I gathered, based on the scoring system, Pillow scored 54 points this weekend, and Pato Award finished 32 points. So I think all the conversation we had last week about how Alex Pillow was going to, could Pato Award make this a competition for the IndyCar championship. I don't know about that. Palou was on our level again this weekend, and clearly showing that he is a man to be. He's a force to be reckoned with in IndyCar.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now. Alex Palou is sitting at 537. Pato Ward is sitting at 437. Kyle Kirkwood at 363. And Scott Dixon, a good recovery for him this weekend, is sitting at 362. So I think probably Portland could be the clincher, could be the final
Yeah,
nail.
in the in the championship, right? And that believe is August 10th is the race, so two
Yeah,
weekends from now
they're going
or
on their
3 weekends
break
from
right
now.
now. So I was gonna say check out David Land 91, friend of the pod. He did a good recap of this weekend. So I'll make sure I post it in the comment section below. But so let's jump to the last race before the summer break. Hungary. Hungary, Hungary, Hungary.
Are you hungry for Hungary?
Some of the storylines after this weekend, probably.
I mean, the silly season's not really going to get silly anymore, is it? And I love silly like season. It's just going to be a little disappointing because Max is going to go back to Red Bull. They're going to be dog water again next year. Then he's going to lo want to leave again in 2027 when he should have made the move in 2026. So I don't know. This is we'll see how it goes, but I think it really is. Can Lando Norris recover from mistakes that he made this weekend
Yeah.
and giving his teammate points? Can he come back at him in Hungary?
Like I think that will probably be the storyline. And he'll probably get those questions on the Thursday media. It's like, how do you take what happened this weekend in Belgium as a learning opportunity, and like how can you respond?
Yeah.
I should also note that like while the Ferraris might have looked promising this weekend, in the sense of how they're able to recover, I don't know how they're gonna I don't know how they're gonna partake in a track like Hungary. I think I would probably, they brought some big upgrades the last couple of races. I'm more keen to see how is Monza gonna look, how is some other street circuits are gonna look for them. So, but yeah, and I guess that will be kind of the question going into the summer break. And then also like, are we gonna hear news about Cadillac? And I don't know if you saw Valtteri Bottas got stopped on the track again today and was asked have you been approached by Cadillac? And he kept playing the question, I couldn't hear you, I couldn't hear you. So we're wondering if like the announcement of the Cadillac drivers will come out this week,
Yeah,
being at
because I
Hungary.
do really think that the trigger point is where does Max go? And then the dominoes will fall.
How will George respond this weekend? I'm curious, like who are they going to put towards some of the media? Uh, who is going to be part of some of the media
They should have
questions?
Max Verstappen and George Russell in the same media session
Just
this
to
weekend.
sit, I think just them two.
Just them, just those two.
Yeah.
Why
Um,
not?
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. I don't know about you. I think I should do more podcasts on the standing desk. This is pretty good.
Hey, you look like you're vibing tonight, man.
I like it. I like
Love's
it.
great energy. I love it.
Yeah. Season 5, episode 19 of the F1 podcast. This recaps our episode of the 2025 Belgian Grand Prix, which Oscar Piastri blew the field away. It was a wet track, but he was able to hold off everybody and his teammate taking advantage of some mishaps. A lot of stories going into Hungary for next weekend's race. Tune in. There will still be another fan gathering at Trinity Common. If you want to go, just send us a message, and I can pass it on to Dave in TO, F1 and TO. I'm Ricci. That's Andrew. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media channels, which you can find on our link tree. And tune into next week where we'll cover the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix before the summer break. See y'all.